Following example, we are going to plot the points and draw the line segments connecting the points to create a polygon. You can do triangles, you can do rectangles. Then you're going to write the system of linear inequalities that define the polynomial region. So in this case, we're going to do a triangle. So the first thing you have to do is you have to plot your points. All right, so first thing we have to do is -2, 4. So up here at -2, 4, put one dot. Then at 4, 1. So I'm over 4. Up 1, put my other dot. Now if you wanted to, you could say what those are, alright, as you're doing these. So this is -2, 4. And then the last one is at -2, -1. Okay. Now I'm going to connect all of these points, making my polygon. So I'm going to get one line, two lines. Now when you do this with a ruler, you'll be a lot more accurate. 3 lines. Okay, now we need to write the inequalities for each and every one of these. Let's do the easiest one first, which is this line. It is a vertical line going through -2, so my first inequality. Now the shading for each one of these would be below the line, or here, because we're going to want to shade in this area of the polygon in that sense. So for this line right here, it's going to be x is greater than or equal to a -2. So that's one of my lines, one of my inequalities, and that's the first one. Now, the other ones we want to take a look and see if they go through any spots. This one right here looks like it goes through 3. Alright, so this line right here is, let's just write it right here, we're going to say y. It's going to be less than, because the shading has to be less than or equal to, the shading has to be below, and my y-intercept is going to be 3. Now we need to figure out what the slope is going to be for this line. Alright, now what we can do is we can look at the points. If we go from here, if I go down 1 over 2, alright, looks like that'll get it. Or from here, if I would go up 1 over 2, looks like that would get it. So my slope is going to be 1 over 2. Now if you wanted to double check it, you could use the slope formula. M is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 to find out the slope exactly. Alright, so in this case our slope here is going to be a -1/2, because that's a negative slope. So the second line that I have there is y is less than or equal to a -1/2 x, right, plus 3. Now the third line, I'm going to have to do the other stuff, because it does not, it ends up going through about right here. That could be 1/2, that could be 1/3. So I'm going to need to use all my points. So I'm going to write this point, which -2, -1 is that point right there. I'm going to need to use all this information. So let's figure out what I know so far. Alright, okay, we'll say y. We know it's going to be greater than or equal to. I don't know my y-intercept. I know it's going to be negative since it's below the x-axis, and I'm not sure what my slope is going to be. So I need to figure out slope, and I need to find out y-intercept. First of all, let's do the slope. So I got to go back over here. Alright, m slope is equal to, alright, I'm going to go 1 minus 1 minus a -1, which is going to be 1 plus 1 on the top, and then on the bottom I'm going to take 4 minus a -2, alright, minus, so it ends up being plus 2. So my slope here is going to be 2 over 6, which is going to be 1/3. So my slope, I figured out, was 1/3 x. Again, what I could have done too is gone over here and up, and I figured out that this was 6, this is 2, or this is 2, this is 6, and my slope is 1/3 x. And it will be a positive slope. Now I need to find out my y-intercept. And again, if you remember, if I have 2 points, or if I have a point and a slope, I can figure out my y-intercept. So I'm going to do that up here. So y is equal to mx plus b. I'm going to try to figure out what b is. I'm going to use 4, 1. So 1 is equal to 1/3 times 4 plus b. Alright, so I use my slope and one of my points. Now when I figure this one out, I get y is equal to 4/3 plus b. I subtract 4/3 from both sides, and therefore my b, my y-intercept for this line, is going to be equal to a negative 1/3. So there's my last line, or my last inequality. All right, y is greater than or equal to 1/3 x minus 1/3. Now you can see the easier lines, if it's possible to do it visually, do it visually. If you have to, in a problem like this where I could not tell where its y-intercept was, you're going to have to use slope formula. You're going to have to use y equals mx plus b, but that's how you do a polynomial. If you want to see a word problem using this type of inequalities, you can go to Mr. Potts' blog. He is going to do a word problem using